Anyway.
All right, this person here, Craig. Did you see the movie Bigger, Stronger, Faster? If you didn't see it,
yeah, of course.
Actually, we interviewed Chris Bell. So
yeah.
What are your thoughts on it? And if you haven't, it's a good it's a great documentary, actually.
It's good. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that was left out. That I mean, there was a lot of stuff in there that was very, very good, and it was a rational approach. But they really did. There was a lot of stuff that was left out. That that's all I could say. I mean, Mike Bell goes to the doctor, and he's got this, he's in horrible, horrible health. He did not, and Mike Bell, who later died, about, not all that long after the movie was released. But I mean, he died of drug addiction, and steroids had nothing to do with it. But his heart was a mess already, and they, it wouldn't have fit the premise of the movie, I guess, because they never mentioned it. And I thought that was fairly significant, that that and talking about studies and everything like that, and leaving out the East German study, which was actually pretty, where they followed a lot of the athletes that used steroids, in Olympic competition, because they knew exactly what they were doing because the government supplied them with the steroids, and they had incredibly detailed documentation. And actually, the side effects from that study were they were actually so bad that when I read it, I was almost in disbelief. It really couldn't be this bad because, we've seen enough guys with steroids and, granted, a lot of people have had problems, but these are pretty serious problems, but it's long-term effect. And, instead they would do something like, well, the number of people who died from steroids, is less than the people who died from smoking, which is probably true because a lot more people smoke than do steroids. And also, because, if you do steroids and die of a heart attack, it doesn't say you died from steroids. It says you died of a heart attack or you died of, it's very rare that you have that a coroner is going to put steroids in the death certificate. Although, there have been a couple with pro wrestlers, Eddie Guerrero and, what was the guy? The guy from Baltimore, Neil Superior, and Davey Boy Smith. All their coroners, specifically, attributed the deaths to steroids. And I remember with Davey Boy, it was even though the coroner said that, as soon as that came out, if you remember, everybody was going how could this coroner say that? Because look at all the drugs that Davey did, which he did, and maybe they're right, because I don't know, no one really knows for sure. It's not an exact science, but that's what the coroner said. With Eddie, the explanation of Eddie's death was, made, as much growth hormone and steroids and other drugs. He basically had, he enlarged his internal organs, including his heart, and his blood vessel walls had thinned, so his heart had to push extra hard to get extra blood to these larger internal organs, while at the same time the walls of his blood vessel were smaller, and that led to a heart attack at 38. So that was the deal there. But it was that was just kind of my feeling. If there was a lot of stuff, he tried to present it. The ethical aspect of it, I think he did an exceptional job with. The whole thing of how his parents were furious at the brothers for doing steroids, and then there they are cheering Mark, which is his other brother, when he, who was a world class power lifter, when he squatted God knows how many pounds, which and Chris himself, who was a teenage powerlifting champion, could not even compete at the top level because he didn't want to do steroids. And he mentioned that in the sport that I'm good at, I can't even be competitive without them. And I thought that ethical aspect and that was excellent. But there were other aspects of that movie that, like I said, there was a lot of stuff that was left out. That it just seemed that he was more in tune to making Henry Waxman look stupid, which in fact Henry Waxman did look completely stupid. But at the same time, kind of trying to imply that this stuff wasn't as dangerous as smoking or or alcohol or something like that, and that's debatable because it's, again, it's probably more dangerous than that. It's probably not as dangerous as some people say, but to act like it's not dangerous at all, I mean, that's, for sure not true either.
All right.